ABC 7 report.
Officers stop a man on a bicycle.
You need brakes, bro. Just hop out really quick. We'll get you out of here.
Look, I'm going right there.
Step
You guys can come with me?
Step off the bike, please.
Yes, sir.
And then face away. Put your
Yes,
hands
sir.
behind your back.
Moments later, shots fired.
I got it. George. Shots fired! Shots fired! Officer needs help! Shots fired! Officer needs help! Suspect's running southbound. He's shooting at us.
The violence exploding on July 5th. One of those officers hit by gunfire. Here is video from his just released body cam video.
That's because it looks like you have a gun inside your pocket.
Oh, no.
Nah.
You need brakes on the bike also. Step off the bike, please. Yes, sir. And then face away. Put your hands behind your back. Shots fired. He's shooting at us.
Shots fired, officer needs help.
Here's a look at that video in slow motion as 26-year-old Ernesto Sepulveda runs from officers and then suddenly turns, firing a gun and hitting the pursuing officer, who was shot in both legs, another bullet grazing his face. LA police officers quickly swarming the area near Martin Luther King Park. Sepulveda is seen tossing the gun as he runs from Western Avenue into the park. A pursuing officer grabs it and a foot pursuit is on.
I'm gonna shoot you. I'm gonna shoot you, dude. Male Hispanic running southbound. Right here.
Sepulveda hops a fence and is quickly tackled to the ground by another officer. More officers swarming in as they cuff Sepulveda and take him into custody.
I don't know how this guy is walking around. I don't know how the cops showed restraint enough to not, like that guy, like the one said, I'm going to shoot you. It's a wonder he didn't. And that's another one coming up. A 6-year-old boy was attacked by a coyote in a Southern California park. KTLA 5 story coming up. Here we go.
6-year-old boy is recovering tonight after he was attacked by a coyote on the playground at a crowded park in Carson. The boy was at the park with his family for his sister's softball game when the coyote moved in on him.
He says he screamed for help and his mom immediately came to his rescue. Sandra Mitchell live in Carson, where she spoke to the brave young boy and his mother. Sandra.
Yeah, Micah, this little boy has 20 stitches. He's already started rabies shots. You know, this coyote didn't just bite him. It actually tried to drag him away. 6-year-old Enoch is back at Del Amo Park just 3 days after he was viciously attacked and dragged by a coyote. That's Enoch screaming as the coyote chases and bites him while a softball game goes on.
It was keep biting me, and I was trying to kick it, and then it was too fast.
Enoch has deep wounds and about 20 stitches in his legs. He was also bitten on the back and head.
What did those bites feel like?
The worst.
No kidding. And again, like they did, they're putting him on rabies shots because, man, that stuff, you cannot, 100%, if you get rabies as a human, you are dead and you will suffer one of the most debilitating deaths. But luckily, this kid didn't get dragged out by the coyote. They came to his rescue and ran the coyote off. But just be careful. They usually don't attack humans. It's very unusual that coyotes will do that. But just be aware. And they can be anywhere. They can be in downtown LA. They can be out in the boondocks. You never know where they will show up. We'll have more on this story. Former Superman actor Dean Cain says he's joining ICE. What? We'll have to roll some more on that a little bit later on in the show. Sydney Sweeney comes to Corona, at least on a billboard. The Proud Boys decided to put some cover on that. We'll have more in the ABC 7 report on that. California Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kakalanis decided, she said she was going to run for governor, this morning she announced she's not. That was weird because Pelosi, Hillary, Barbara Boxer came out with her. There's maybe some more behind the scenes on that issue. Apollo 13 mission leader, astronaut James Lovell, dies at 97. So rest easy, sir. Bill Asaley is doing grand jury indictments of more assaulting ICE officers, as he said. We're not tolerating that. Ed Delgado has announced he's running against Corey Jackson for Assembly District 60, which comprises Moreno Valley, Paris, San Jacinto, Nuevo Romaland, and parts of Hemet and Riverside. We'll have more to say on this little announcement coming up again later on in the show. That should, well, we'll deal with this. Dale Earnhardt says NASCAR sucks. Well, not quite like that, but he's not real happy. The only other thing, remember about the phony stories, remember social distancing? It doesn't really protect you from infections, study shows. We could have told you that. We did tell you that. For 3 years, as they tried to shove that fear-mongering down everyone's throat, sad to say most people bought it. There's that funky slide guitar music. Comes in every Monday through Friday, live at 5 in the Blip Network, Rumble X, YouTube, and the Roy Blackert channel. Check us out, subscribe. Lots of interesting things happening today. Ed Delgado is going to announce his candidacy for Assembly District 60. Superman joining ICE, ICE saying, hey, we want people to come in. Dean Cain, one of the Superman actors, said, I'm in. Sign me up. Need to get, even though he's 85, maybe we can talk Chuck Norris into signing up for a stint on the ICE brigade. That would be interesting. Dale Earnhardt saying basically NASCAR sucks, or the new next-gen car sucks. I think yours truly and many others, by looking at the empty grandstands and declining TV ratings, not saying that's a whole 100%, but I tend to agree with him on that. The coyotes down there in a park in LA, and just goes to a warning, wild animals can show up anywhere. From the great, vast outdoor wilderness. I don't know if they've ever seen any in the concrete jungle of 100-story sadness that's known as New York City. But they can, coyotes can show up everywhere. So be careful. They're, they usually, in most cases, if they see humans, they will back off unless they really think they're threatened. That one was aggressive in nature, so maybe there was some other issues going on. Could have been very hungry, starving to death, rabid, who knows. But thank goodness the boy only suffered 20 stitches, and he should recover fully from that. How about the dude with the gun? Pulling the gun on the LAPD officers. Why they didn't empty their guns, I think, not that, I'm a big law enforcement expert, hardly anything close, but when a dude like that pulls a gun on a cop and shoots at them, the chasing part and all that should be over. I mean, the cop was saying, I'm going to shoot you, I'm going to shoot you. He should have been shooting him. Should have been shooting him deader than a doornail. Because if that guy's dangerous enough to pull a gun on a cop, imagine what that dude would do out in regular society, or what he was planning on doing, carrying it with him. You would almost have to believe he's either on parole, has warrants up the kazoo or something, and figured, well, that. But when you turn and shoot at a police officer, deputy sheriff, ICE agent, as far as I'm concerned, or my philosophy is, the rules go out the window. They have every right, and they really have it. That's what we pay them to do. Is keep us safe, and my view of keeping him safe, they should have emptied every frickin' bullet they had until they were absolutely sure he wasn't even moving a centimeter. People, especially law enforcement officers, shouldn't be afraid to use their weapons in a situation like that. Where not only did he have a weapon, he fired multiple shots at them, injuring twice, hit one officer twice in the leg and grazed his face. So I guess he has some in common with our El Presidente, Donald J. Trump. And I hope he recovers fully from his injuries of that. But again, like Trump, that was probably centimeters from another procession funeral for a cop. Or an innocent bystander. You could have been walking down the road and this guy's just out running and shooting. Again, my world, there's no tolerance for that. Zip, nada, none, zero, nothing. It'll be very interesting to see how this all works out. Because, it wasn't that long ago that we wouldn't have had to worry about any of this stuff. The business would have been taken care of. There would have been, as they say, no problem. It would have been a fait accompli, as we've seen in many of these situations. I don't know. And I mean, I applaud Dean Cain for wanting to become an ICE officer. But in this trajectory, I don't know if I would want to do that job or any law enforcement job as we've structured our society today. Let's hear more about how Superman is planning to join ICE. Here's the ABC7 report.
Superman actor Dean Cain has confirmed he's joining ICE.
Yeah, he told Fox News yesterday that he'll be sworn in as an ICE agent ASAP. It came just hours after Cain posted an informal recruiting video on Instagram asking people to sign up to work for ICE. He said after that, he spoke with officials at ICE and decided he wanted to join as well.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says she's received 80,000 applications for new agents. That's many more than the 10,000 the agency plans to hire. Noem also says the agency is removing the age cap, I should say, for agents, which typically...
Well, maybe they should. Maybe they should hire some more. Maybe we need to hire 80,000 ICE agents. They're not arresting. They're down on arrests down in SoCal, so let's crank that up. Again, I'm willing to have a discussion, not an amnesty or anything, of those that got here or were here prior to January 20th, 2021. If you came here illegally or unlawfully after January 20th, 2021, when Biden threw the floodgates open, you're going back to where you came or where you're supposed to be, the country you are from. Like we said, we're offering you $1,000 if you need a flight, or we'll make the accommodations to get you back to your home. And if you do that, if you willingly, whether you take the $1,000 or the assistance from the USG or do it yourself, if you deport now voluntarily, you can apply to come into the country legally. And we have about 1 million cap per year that we let into the country from other nations. So we are not a racist society. We're not building walls to keep people out. We're protecting the borders of our country like every other country should or does. But it will be interesting to see how the next few months are coming. Another thing that just got announced is the Putin-Trump meeting will be in Alaska next week. It's still unclear if Zelensky will be included, but I don't see how you really can not have him there. If the war is going to be in, and there's been floated out there's agreement in principle that Trump has hammered out with Putin. Of course, you still have to have Zelensky to sign on, which I don't think after the old fiasco he had with Trump and Vance at the White House, whatever it was 6 months ago, and Zelensky's military is depleted. He's almost got nothing. They almost got the old adage, no bullets in the gun left. There may be down to one. So we'll see how that'll be a big story coming out, hopefully next week. Hopefully they get an agreement with a ceasefire and an end.
Got 1 minute, Roy.
Finally to the Ukraine-Russian war. Sean said we'll be joining the mighty net, 1490 a.m. in a matter of seconds.
Uh-oh, what happened?
But who knows? I don't know if I lost you, Sean, but your sound just seemed to go out.
You froze on me.
Oh, okay.
You totally froze up.
Okay, yeah, I know. All of a sudden you went silent, and then I figured, oh, I'm checking my feed's still showing I'm going out, so
30 seconds.
at least it wasn't me this time, or I don't think it.
Well, I don't know. You totally froze up. I thought.
Yeah, it must have been between here or there because mine was working. We'll see. Have your finger on the replay button.
Yeah.
Who knows with this stuff?
All right, here we go. 10 seconds.
For those who support America, patriotswitch.com.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's a funky slide guitar music. It comes in every Monday through Friday, live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met, 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the aforementioned AM band. Join your vast video audience, Evil Lippy Network, Rumble, X, YouTube on the Roy Bleckert channel. Seems to be working on there. I don't know. Maybe they just love me better than iNewsWire. I don't know. But we'll see how that all shakes out. Lots of news, and again, it was just breaking before I came on. Didn't have time to put it up on the site, but it appears Donald J. Trump and Vladimir Putin are going to meet about ending, or at least getting to a ceasefire on the Ukraine-Russian war. They will meet in Alaska next week. Unclear if Zelensky will be there, but if they're going to have a ceasefire, I don't see how he cannot be included in the meeting, at least at some point, because they're going to have an agreement with him. Maybe, and it's being floated that there is an agreement in principle between Putin and Trump. And I would say maybe if it is, him moving those submarines into closer proximity to Russia may have had something to do with that. I'm wearing my Bonneville Speed Weeks t-shirt that my late dad got for me. He used to go up there with his buddies, Henry Harrison and the crew up there, Butler and all that. But obviously my dad's passed and those guys are getting way up there too. But sad news was the Speed Demon pilot and longtime sales tech guy over at ARP, Chris Rasky, lost his life in the Speed Demon on his second run at 380 miles an hour. And all around great guy. He was about my same age too, so kind of knew him growing up all around here and going through all the racing scene on that. The better news is Danny Thompson, Mickey Thompson's son, set a new record of over 400 miles an hour at the lakes this year. So there's some big records being set at Bonneville Speed Weeks. And we hope that stays a lot longer. I know they've been trying to get him off the salt there for a long time, but hey, the tradition still goes. Congrats to Danny Thompson for going 400, I believe, 11 miles an hour on a new record in his class. And rest easy, Chris Rasky. Lots of stuff that works its way through in an interesting report. I found the whole Sydney Sweeney thing rather boring. Why it was such a big flap anyway. I mean, yeah. Probably today, yeah, she's pretty hot. If you roll her by 70 standards, she really didn't look that much. I mean, she'd have been like at the top of the class, but most of the chicks look like her. Back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. In the 80s, it kind of changed. We were in that picture from the beach, the boardwalk down in San Diego. Pick any pictures you want. That's why I find it kind of intriguing, like, oh, she's just an extreme hottie, like off the charts. I'm telling you, 40, 50, 60 years ago, yeah, she'd have caught your glance. Said, yeah, that's pretty fine. But it wouldn't be like, oh, she's the hottest thing in the universe. So that's why I found it intriguing that she got so much attention over the jeans thing. But this happened on the 91 freeway on a billboard, and the printing and everything looks strikingly similar to the billboards that keeps getting changed there at the 215 in Lacadena, right there at the Colton Riverside line. It looks like, if I was betting, I'd bet 111% it's the same guys or gals, because it looks at, it says Proud Boys love Sydney Sweeney. She has the best blue jeans. It's something, and I don't know if they are Proud Boys or they're just using that, or they're the ones that are doing the billboard extravaganzas that show up there, like I say, at the 215, right there at the 215, right there at Lacadena. But let's explore the ABC 7 report. Here we go. What you thought?
Turning heads, it was covered with a banner referencing a recent jeans ad that's sparked some controversy.
An Eyewitness News viewer alerted us today about this billboard and spoke with Inland Empire Bureau Chief Rob McMillan.
Drivers on the 91.
See.
And Eyewitness.
I'm going to stop that there. So, I mean, just in my opinion, the reporterette's about as hot as Sydney Sweeney on the hot scale. Just my opinion of it. I mean, I don't see that Sydney Sweeney stands out head and shoulders above the chick doing the news here. But let's go. Let's hit the rest of the report.
This News viewer alerted us today about this billboard and spoke with Inland Empire Bureau Chief Rob McMillan.
Drivers on the 91 freeway in Corona heading toward Orange County this morning, no doubt taking note of this billboard, or rather the banner placed over top of it, referencing a recent American Eagle advertisement with the words, quote, "Proud Boys love Sydney Sweeney. She has the best blue jeans." Brandy from Corona sent us this picture on her way to work this morning.
I was pretty shocked to read that. Angry, scared, disappointed, I guess a mix of feelings.
The banner is...
Why would you be scared? Why would you be scared of something of that? That's what trips your world. You're scared of that. You're not worried about the dude on the street shooting at the cops and they're not shooting him 111% dead. You're worried about some pranksters who are putting up some a banner over a billboard like that. Totally harmless. That scares you? Holy cow.
Referencing this ad from American Eagle, Sydney Sweeney, the person in the video.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color.
It almost promotes like, okay, so everyone should look like this, should have blonde hair, blue eyes, because that's the great gene. You know what I mean?
President Donald Trump weighing in on Truth.
Here we go. Oh, they're shaming us. You know, if you have that low a self-esteem of yourself, that you're upset or that, well, yeah, everybody's going to compare you. Everybody's compared to somebody. Whether it's looks, your talents, abilities, in schools, on your job, everybody's rating your performance of somewhere. You rank somewhere on the scale. I mean, 0.110% of the people have movie star or movie, movie actor or movie actress looks that, they're stars on the silver screen or stuff. The rest of us dorks are just out there living our lives. And, you're never, I'm not going to be the leading man, Clark Gable, on To Please a Lady or something. That. So, am I jealous of Clark Gable or Dean Cain Superman or Sydney Sweeney or whomever, Farrah Fawcett or Lonnie Anderson, who just recently passed away? No. Don't even think of that. And you're just hurting yourself, lady, by obsessing or even thinking that. You are you. Live your life. Be satisfied with that. You're not going to be Sydney Sweeney. Just like I'm not going to be John Wayne. I'm not going to be linebacker for the Chicago Bears. Should I roll around in a funk or criticize the Chicago Bears for that?
The great gene, you know what I mean?
President Donald Trump weighing in on Truth Social earlier this week, saying that, quote, Sydney Sweeney, a registered Republican, has the hottest ad out there. American Eagle responding by posting this statement on social media earlier this week, saying, quote, Sydney Sweeney has great genes, is and always was about the genes. Her genes, her story. We'll continue to celebrate how everyone wears their AEG.
I got to give props to American Eagle. They're not backing up on this. They're not running and hiding or saying, or apologizing or pulling the ads off or anything. Hey, Sydney Sweeney sells jeans for us and makes, if we pay her $2 million for the ad and she makes the company $10 million, they're going to do this anyway, sideways, and any other business should do the same thing. Sex sells, always has. And you know what? It's us. Everyone else laps it up. If it didn't work, American Eagle or all these or Victoria's Secret, all that wouldn't exist. Because that's what they sell. Among others, they sell you tennis shoes or the dress or the new hat or the diamond rings. They don't put it on ugly people. They put it on sexy people, attractive people, lady. Get over it. Everyone, get over it. If you don't like it, don't buy the product.
Jeans with confidence, their way. Great jeans look good on everyone. As for who's responsible for this banner, it's unclear whether anyone from the Proud Boys had anything to do with it or whether it was someone just trying to stir division.
Again, that looks like exactly the one, whoever's doing that, unless they are either the same people or they have exactly the same way of copying, like I say, the ones that have been showed up at the 215 and La Cadena. But as we say, it's about time. Deal with your reality. Everybody's got advantages and disadvantages at some point. The little young lady in the interview, sure, she has some fine quality. She don't look that bad. I mean, from the picture they showed. I don't know why she would be griping about, because, Sydney Sweeney might be a 9.9 and she may be a 7. So that's just the way it goes. Some people are better at math, some people are better at reading and writing. So, it's the way the world works. That's how everybody survives. You take the best talents of everybody, mold them together. Like that. American Eagle wouldn't be using Sydney Sweeney in those sexy ads if they didn't sell more jeans than they paid her. That's what you should have learned in economics in school, or should have been taught by your parents, school, because that is the law of Mother Nature. And you can't beat Mother Nature. Go check that out in the search engine of the commercials way back in the day. Short one, want to get to this. Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kakalianis has dropped out of the governor's race, which I thought yesterday I was putting her the favor to be in there with Caruso because at least Daddy's got billions of, or, multi-billions of dollars to get her in when Kamala dropped out. And Pelosi, Hillary, Boxer were supporting her because they hate Katie Porter. The establishment was. She dropped out and now she's running for treasurer. I think this even bodes well for Rick Caruso if he jumps in. People hate Katie Porter with a passion. And I think if one or the other drops out, Steve Hilton, who in the Emerson poll, which is a pretty decent poll, has him leading 2-1 over Chad Bianco. If one of those two backs out, we may have a Caruso like either Steve Hilton or Chad Bianco. And believe me, I'm no Rick Caruso fan. He was a never-Trumper. He is a businessman. He was a Republican, switched to Democrat to run for LA mayor. He's an establishment guy. But he's not stupid. And maybe is a guy that can get us from Gavin Newsom, maybe if we get a Rick Caruso, and this is not an endorsement of him by any means. Maybe we can build on this if we get our elections straightened out with the reapportionment and getting more fair representation and making your vote count. Maybe we'll have some hope. Maybe we'll turn around the once golden state. Even Arnold's coming out on our side on this redistricting thing. Bill Asaley, our esteemed U.S. Attorney for Central and Southern California, says a federal grand jury has indicted Jacob Daniel Terreras, 30, of Paramount, for injuring a Border Patrol officer during an ICE raid. After repeatedly throwing pieces of cinder block at law enforcement, officers detained Terreras, who now faces up to 20 years in the federal pen, if convicted. We will not stand by while our brave officers get hurt. If you're thinking of injuring an officer or agent, enforcing immigration law, think again. It's not worth it. Here's the video that they release here. You see them, the takedown of him trying to resist, threatening the officers again. So we hope if Mr. Terreras is convicted, he gets the full 20-year sentence. And the good thing about the federal crimes is you got to serve 85% of your term. Lock, stock, and barrel. So hopefully we'll turn things around. Big surprise announcement by Moreno Valley City Councilman Ed Delgado. He is going to make a run for Assembly District 60, which is currently and has been, well, he's in his second term. Currently seated there is Corey Jackson. This is fantastic news. Delgado's got a legit shot of taking Corey Jackson out of that seat. He's an ex-assistant sheriff for Riverside County, councilman, lots of experience, great resume, should have plenty of money, sufficient amount to win this seat. So this is a flip seat. This area is Moreno Valley, Paris, San Jacinto, about a third of Hemet, and the rural areas of Nuevo, Romaland, kind of in there down that corridor, Homeland, Green Acres, in that area. So that's the basic district. A little bit of the east end of Riverside, I think, like up in the High Grove area, kind of in that little genre. Maybe maybe a touch into San Bernardino County, in that just that little section. It kind of goes up there. Not that they didn't gerrymander the maps. No. This is another one I want to get to before we roll out. Dale Earnhardt Jr. probably still the most, even though he's been retired from at least next gen racing for what, 5, 6 years, 7 years now. He's still probably the most popular, recognizable figure, son of 7-time champion Dale Earnhardt, who passed away of a basal skull fracture at the Daytona 500 in 2001. 2-time or 3-time winner of the Daytona 500. Although Dale Jr. never won the championship, he was the most popular driver for almost 20 years since his dad passed until he retired. Now he's a commentator, does color commentator on the NASCAR races, and along with his sister Kelly, has Junior Motorsports, which has multiple teams in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, where he was a champion, I think twice. But he says, I don't love the next gen car. It's an IMSA car. It's a sports car. It's got a diffuser. It's got low profile tires. It's got big rims and big brakes. It's not a NASCAR stock car. And I agree with Dale Jr. I don't think it's the only reason. I think the costs and everything else and COVID and a lot of things came to it, along with a lot of other sports, but I've really seen it in racing. I've seen the crowds from NASCAR on down to our local short tracks like Orange Show, Paris Auto Speedway, which will have Night of Destruction tomorrow night. If you want to go out. But the crowds are just dwindling. They haven't come back. I think the cost is of that. We need to make racing great again. Make racing fun again. If they got to drop the price of the getting back to the party atmosphere of camping in there and doing all that kind of stuff, and not trying to be politically correct and all this other garbage. Maybe we can do that and be less sensitive. Like, showing that stuff like with the chick there with the Cindy Sweeney. Well, they're pushing and I don't know, and as we're comparing, shut up. Why don't you enjoy life? If that's upsetting your world, you got more problems than Sydney Sweeney. But this isn't what Dale Jr. is pointing out is, and this is the thing, is you don't have any connection. They're no longtime sponsors. Richard Petty, STP, for many years. Jeff Gordon with DuPont. Jimmy Johnson with Lowe's. Now, you don't know, the cars look totally different every week. You got a different sponsor here. No continuity. No nothing that puts that. And that stuff means a lot. I mean, if the Dallas Cowboys or whatever had a different helmet lock and uniform every week, people would be like, who the hell is this? I don't know. But I think they need to get back. Not only in NASCAR, but in our whole way of life. We need to turn back the clock a little bit and get back to having fun and quit outlawing fun. Because it's driving us all crazy. Jeez, maybe we'll hit a few local stories before we bail out for the week. And again, as we usually say, do something this weekend, even though it's going to be on the warm side, do something fun. Rancho Sea City has going to have Hoops with the Heroes August 21st, so sign up for that. Riverside County Sheriff Deputy arrested for unauthorized access is posted in Action 9 News. Rancho C congratulates Officer Benuelos for outstanding work out there, so congratulations to him. KVCR could cut local programming as Donald J's pulling all their money, or most of it. Again, Night of Destruction out there at Paris Auto Speedway tomorrow, starting at 7 o'clock. Gates open at 5. Check her out if you don't have nothing else to do. Death Investigation, San Bernardino Recreation Center. Woman found dead. There is fire dogs, Rocky and Raider, enjoying the summer. So good job, good fire dogs from Corona. Lake Elsinore Sheriff's Station, where Dunkin' Donuts, who knew? Who would have guessed cops would be at the donut shop? But hey, they deserve a break too. School bus catches fire in Highland. Murrieta had a fatal car crash out there. Yes. The sheriff, he rode in the back of the truck and survived. Again, what's what I'm talking about with the Dale Jr. thing and everything else. Of course, Ed Delgado running for 80-60 against Corey Jackson. Go, Ed, go. Banning way back in the day. Check out the picture on IE Newswire. Real fire burning in Harupa Valley. We'll get to check that out. Check out IE Newswire for updates on that. Dinner shows at Riley Farms out there in Oak Glen. Check them out. A whole bunch of them, 5 or 6 coming up in the next few weeks. So there's another good thing to check out. Do something fun. Roar Aircraft, second shift of the tooling department in 1988. Run with the cop in Corona. Not run from the cops, run with the cop. Driver arrested of cyclist after hitting a cyclist in Fontana and fled. It's an update on that story from yesterday. Hammett man faces life sentence for killing a Rialto driver on the 10 freeway. That'll do it for this week. As we usually say at this time, mandatory you're back here in 71 hours. Why? Here's the best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya.
The proceeding was a paid.
All right, Roy, we got through it.
There you go.
Have a good weekend, Roy.
You got it. We'll see you Monday.
Bye now.